What's up, gang? What it is, what it ain't. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to another piece of YOUnique's world view. If you are new here, I am so happy that you decided to join us. If you're returning, thank you so much for your continued support. Today's video, we're going to be talking about why I quit my job as an educator, why I stopped the adoption process and released my parental rights of the child that I was caring for, and we'll get into it all, but not before you click the big red button right here below this video. Right here. The one that say subscribe. Yeah, click that one. Thanks. Started with, if you follow me on Instagram this year, then you know that I was the pre-adoptive legal guardian mom of an amazing 4-year-old. She came to me January 15th and she was with me all the way up until the end of November. And going into this situation, I went into this situation because the biological family at the time needed some support. The child is autistic and they just all needed some support. And I felt like that I was the person to give them that support, that I was capable of taking on caring for this child all on my own. Let's start there. I am just 26. I was 25 at the time. I thought that I was capable of taking care of this child all on my own, in which I was. That's not to say I wasn't. But I often thought that. I often thought that it was me. Like, I needed to be the one to fix and save and rectify. Like, I was really Captain Save-A-Ho out here. So I took this on, and another thing you should know is that I have been talking about adopting children since I was 7 years old. At 7 years old, I took care of my first infant, my little brother. And ever since then, I just knew that I was going to be adopting children. There were so many kids out in the world because at the time that my brother was born, unfortunately, my mother was battling addiction, so she wasn't able to physically be there on an everyday basis. And so if it wasn't for family, my brother could have ended up in the system. And so from that moment on, I'm like, no, I am going to save the babies of the world. I am the baby saver. And so my life became about children and about fixing familial issues. But the problem was that I was all about everybody else's children, all about fixing everybody else's issues. I was not fixing mine. So taking on this little girl at 25 all by myself, y'all, mind y'all, it was in the middle of the panoramic. I am at home crashing on my father's couch just because. So I went from crashing on my father's couch to moving into a new apartment to getting custody of a four-year-old all within like 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. I kid you not. I kid you not, it was all within like 2 to 3 weeks. So January came, she's with me, we're moved in, and now we're off to the races. Of course it's hard. Any new parent, new caregiver situation is hard. But at some point I was just unhappy. I just became unhappy, completely unhappy. Like I hated almost everything about the experience of motherhood. Not her, not her autism, none of that. I generally just hated the motherhood experience. Her biological parents and I had gotten to the point of co-parenting. She was with them every weekend. She was in school Monday through Friday. I was working, you know. We had help, okay? I had help. I was increasingly getting more help. I barely ever had to buy anything because there were so many people that were just, you know, looking out for us in that manner. However, I hated it. I hated it. And every time I got more of what I was asking for, because of course I was manifesting help. I was manifesting babysitters. I'm manifesting still being able to travel and live my 25, 26-year-old life. And every time I got more of what I wanted, I was still unhappy. And I got to a point where, like, I asked myself, I'm like, YOUnique, what is wrong with you? Literally, what is wrong with you? You are every time you ask universe for caregiving help, or you ask the universe for this trip or this break or whatever the case may be, you get it and you're still complaining. You finally get her in school and you're complaining because you got to take her. You finally get her on the school bus and you're complaining because you got to get up and put her on the school bus. I just hated the experience of everyday caregiving. I just wanted to worry about myself. So that led me into a darkness, which led me into healing, because I had to figure it out. I had to figure out, I didn't want to stay there. I didn't want to stay in that darkness. That was fucking ill. No, I didn't want to stay there. So I had to figure it out. So I started doing the healings, doing the shadow work. I wasn't going to therapy anymore because I felt like I had done enough rounds of therapy that I had to take it up a notch. I had to go into the hole and I had to get completely and utterly raw with myself. I had to stop running from my shadows. I had to stop running from my traumatic experiences, because that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. A lot of the times the work we seek, especially when you're talking about helping professions, a lot of the times we seek that work because we're trying to save ourselves, or we're running from our own trauma and our own past. And what we're doing, the person we've built, is just a conglomerate of like defense mechanisms and survival techniques, and running. So I stopped running and I faced that. I faced all of that, and I realized that everything that I was doing, taking on this little girl, teaching, therapy, social work, like for me, everything that I was doing was rooted in me wanting someone to save me. I wanted someone to save my little girl, my inner child. My inner child, constantly yelling, save me, save me, save me. And I wasn't hearing it. Or maybe I was, and I was just externalizing. Big conclusion from all of that, I feel like I just talked a lot for no reason. And the big conclusion from all of that was that I did not want to be a mother. I did not, and I don't want to. I thought I wanted to be a mother because of all of that, but really I just wanted myself saved. I'm my own kid. I am my own kid. And so once I realized that that's what was happening inside of me, that's why my actions were presenting as they were, and that this is what my truth really is, I was able to begin the letting go process. Now, that wasn't easy now. Don't get me wrong. Just because you realize it doesn't make that letting go process easy, especially something like this. There were all types of feelings of guilt and shame and all of these types of things, because I felt like I was giving up on her. I felt like I was failing. I felt like, well, why the fuck did you even bring her around in the first place? Because now you're putting her through more transitions for no reason. Eating myself up, chewing myself out. And so once I got past all of those feelings, and I worked through that, and I processed through that, and I got out of that, I was able to have the conversation with her biological parents, let them know, because also too, her biological parents were ready. And they have always been ready. They've always been capable. They just hadn't yet been given the opportunity to do so. And they are thriving, all three of them together. They are thriving. They are amazing. She is happy. I still keep in constant contact. I'm not dropping out of her or their lives. But it was simply time for the both of us to be free. I realized that I just want to be able to get up and do me, however that looks on any given day. I like to travel too much. She's not... even though she loved traveling and she loved the experiences that we did have together, the life that I want is not the life that she wants. And I had to realize that. I want a very much on the go, here, there, and everywhere type of life. Baby girl likes a little bit more stability, a little bit more predictability. She fares well better when she wakes up and knows what's coming every day. And that was another thing that I had to come to terms with, because for me, when I pictured motherhood, that's what I pictured. Like me and my babies, me and my spouse and our babies, just world traveling, world schooling, like all of that. But she didn't want that. And I also don't want to care for anybody. At all. I don't want to care for anybody, young or old. And realizing that is part of what also led me to quitting my job. Now, the other part of me quitting my job was because that place is just chaotic. That place, there's so much chaos and confusion in my old job right now. And to be fair, there are lots of transitions going on there, but they are not transitions that I have to be a part of, because one, this is not work that I'm passionate about anymore, and that had been brewing for a while as well. Two, I have tried to stay within that company and grow and move into other positions and things like that, but at every turn I was, boom, door was in the face. So I realized, hey, I've reached my growth cap here, and it's time for me to go. It's time for me to open myself up to expansion, to exploration, and to a different variety of ways to be of service. Because not that I don't want to be of service, I just don't want to be the one responsible for fixing your shit. And I say that with love, because that's the position that I have been putting myself in for so long now, is making myself responsible to be the person to fix your shit. Hell no. Figure it out. I had to remove myself from that type of action, that type of behavior. I was being called and am being called to other things, and I had to listen to that calling, and I had to trust that calling. And yes, it is 100% a scary thing. It is 100% a scary thing to take that type of leap. I sent in that resignation letter without a new job offer at all, not even an interview. I didn't get a call for an interview until a week after I sent in the resignation letter. And it was a position that I thought I really, really wanted too. And in the fourth quarter, in the last few seconds, Miss Mama's pulled out. Miss Mama's pulled out the game. She held the ball at the other end of the court, and she just let the clock run out. So that job, that position was also not for me. And so I'm here. Having quit my job, having quit parenting. That was part one. I've decided I'm going to make this a two-part situation, because this is just so much to dive into. So until part two, be well, be kind, be loved. And don't forget to buy your Upper Blends products. My link is in the description box, okay? Click it right now.